Welcome back YouTube to yet another video. Marathon day is almost here, and today I will be breaking down my training plan and show you exactly what's in my race bag to make the race a success. Let's go. Here we are. In just a few days, it is time to run my first marathon in Turin, and I'm really pumped. I'm looking forward to it. I know I have prepared well, I have trained hard, I have increased the volume over the past weeks, and I have seen progress quite a bit in my performance. And today, I just want to share with you what exactly I have done. So my training plan consists of essentially 5 components, which are long runs, speed work, recovery runs, cross training, and gym work. With those 5 components, I've essentially structured my whole training plan over a period of 9 weeks, leading up to the marathon, broken down in 5 to 6 sessions a week minimum, and with a maximum of, I would say, 10 to 12. Starting with component number 1. Long runs. Long runs are the most essential for any runner who wants to run and increase their mileage over the weeks. I started at 15 kilometers and peaked at 32 kilometers 3 weeks before the run. 32 up until now is and was my longest run. Long runs are very enjoyable, at least for me, and they should also be for you. If they're not enjoyable, running is probably not for you. Because when you do a long run, you can spend time with friends, who share the same goal, who run the same pace, who like to go for the distances. And you're exploring your own mindset, because at a certain point, for me, it used to be always around 16, 17, 18 kilometers when the legs are just getting tired, but in your mind, you know you can go further. And this is when the real challenge comes up, and you need to focus. You need to focus on the goal to know that you can actually go further without destroying yourself, obviously. But long runs are essential for anyone who is doing a marathon prep. And the way I would do it is I would increase the long runs by 10 to 15% each week. And I would suggest doing 1 long run per week. I like to do them on the weekend because this is when you usually have a bit more time. You can start early in the day, then you can recover for 2, 3, 4 hours. You put your legs up and you should be good to go to continue the day. Component number 2, speed work. Speed work is essential to increase your lactate threshold, which ultimately enhances your endurance performance. What I mean by increasing your lactate threshold is essentially the lactate threshold refers to the exercise intensity at which lactate is built up in the blood faster than it can be cleared out. And at this point, your muscles start to feel fatigue and sore. And therefore, by increasing our lactate threshold, we can sustain higher intensities over a longer period of times. This can be done by a few different approaches of training structure. We've got intervals, especially intervals on the track, where you have a 400-meter track. It's a great way to work on your speed. That means, I hope before you go into a marathon or even a half marathon, that you at least do a 5K or a 10K, just to get an idea of where your fitness is at the moment. And that fitness level can be used within the intervals. Because when you know how fast you are at the 5K, you can say you run 6 times 400 meters at your 5K speed, and you do a 90-second break in between. And over the weeks, you will increase the intensity. Today you do 6 times 400, next week you do 8 times 400. Then maybe you do 6 times 600 or 6 times 800 or you shorten the break, so you increase your lactate threshold. Then another option is tempo runs. Tempo runs are a longer distance at an increased pace. Yeah, there we wanna aim for 5, 6, 7, 8 kilometers at a higher pace. Yeah, we don't just want to have a recovery run. We want to hit a zone in which you feel slightly uncomfortable to talk if you were with a friend. So that should be the measure. Like you're not feeling well enough to talk while you're running. That's a tempo run. With those speed workouts, your heart rate will naturally go up quite a bit. And one way to see how your fitness level is again is once you have done your 400 meters or 600 meters intervals and you enter the rest period of 90 or 60 seconds to see how far down your heart rate drops. If your heart rate goes straight down to zone 2, that's great, right? That means you're recovering really fast. But if you are running in zone 4 and while you're resting you stay in zone 4 and you start again in zone 4, then that probably means you should either rest a little bit longer or take it a little bit more easy with the intervals. This brings us to component number 3, which is recovery runs. Recovery runs, sometimes boring, sometimes helpful, sometimes you're really glad that they are there. But they are there for a reason. So those recovery runs, they allow your body to recover while maintaining consistency. And they are preventing you from a burnout. For me personally, I like to keep my recovery runs anywhere between 6 and 10 kilometers. Component number 4, we have cross-training. Cross-training is just a way to make your schedule just a little bit more flavory. Yeah, you just don't want to just run. You don't want to just lift. You don't just want to do one thing. My cross-training is usually it's either swimming or it's biking. This is still a great way to keep your aerobic base while you are staying consistent with your training. And it's just enjoyable to just switch things up a little from time to time. And lastly, component number 5 is strength. Bring in some varieties. Train your back, train your chest, and also train your legs. I know that can be hard sometimes. I also struggle with this, to squeeze in a leg day, especially when you know it's gonna hurt for 1 or 2 days. But it is important because running doesn't have the same effect as a workout in the gym when you train legs. Different muscles are used while doing both activities. So try to combine them, do some lunges, do some squats, do goblet squats, calf raises, hamstrings. They're all very important, especially for runners. So the second part of this video is I just wanted to show you quickly of what I will be taking in terms of gear and in terms of nutrition for the race itself. However, I think I'm gonna put on the lights because it got fairly dark outside. So I think that's a little bit better. Okay, first things first, in terms of my gear, we have the shoes. One is for long runs and recovery runs, which is that one here. This is the Hoka Clifton 9. This is also the shoe I ran the half marathon with, and I've been training with this one for around a year. That's the one I will also be using for the marathon itself because it's a very comfortable shoe, but afterwards I believe it's time to replace them. And then I also have a shoe for my speed sessions, which is the Nike Zoom X. For me it's really about the mental aspect of it, that whenever I take this shoe, I know we're going faster and I really enjoy it. I like to have that. Then in terms of equipment, I will also be using my running vest. Front pocket here, this is probably where I use my phone with. Then in the back pocket, this is where I use my water bottle. That's about it in terms of the pockets and the things I'm gonna take in the vest. For the water itself, I will put in some electrolytes. Then I will be also taking a couple of Dextro Energies. What I will also be preparing is my dates. I might actually prepare them with butter. So these are my essentials that I will be using for the run. With that being said, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.